The ship descended through Earth's atmosphere like a falling crystal, its surface catching the sunlight in ways that made humans on the ground stop and stare. Inside, Ambassador Crixvell pressed his translucent fingers against the viewing panel and watched the blue planet grow larger beneath him. He had seen many worlds in his 300 years of service to the Valoran Collective. Rocky worlds, gas giants, frozen moons covered in methane ice. But he had never seen so much water. Earth was drowning in it. Oceans covered most of the surface, and even the land masses were crossed with rivers and dotted with lakes. A water world, he said to his assistant Mirasol. How interesting. Perhaps these humans will remind us of home. The Valorans came from a peaceful ocean planet where the most dangerous creature was a small fish with mildly irritating venom. Their civilization had risen slowly and gently, building beautiful cities beneath calm waves. They had never known war. They had never needed claws or teeth or armor. Evolution had gifted them with crystalline bodies that sang when light passed through them, and minds sharp enough to unlock the secrets of faster-than-light travel. The Galactic Council had sent them to Earth for a simple reason. The Valorans were experts at assessing new species. They could look at a civilization and determine within days whether it was ready to join the galactic community. Most species were not ready. Most species were violent, primitive, or simply too dangerous to trust with advanced technology. Crixvell expected humans to fall into the primitive category. His preliminary research had not impressed him. The ship landed in a place called Geneva, and Crixvell stepped onto alien soil for the first time. The air was thick and warm, filled with strange smells. Humans had gathered to watch the landing, held back by barriers and security personnel. They were smaller than Crixvell had expected. Soft. Their skin came in various shades of brown and pink, and they had hair growing from their heads in patterns that seemed almost random. No claws. No protective scales. Their teeth, when they smiled, were flat and blunt. Their eyes faced forward like predators, but everything else about them screamed prey. A human female approached him. She wore a dark uniform covered in small metal symbols, and she moved with a confidence that seemed out of place on such a fragile body. "Ambassador Crixvell," she said, extending her hand in the human greeting gesture. "I'm Commander Elena Vasquez. Welcome to Earth." Crixvell touched her hand briefly, noting how warm it was. Humans ran hot. Their bodies burned energy like furnaces. Inefficient, he thought. A species running that hot would need constant fuel. They would be slow, tired, easily exhausted. "Thank you, Commander," he said. "I look forward to learning about your world." Elena smiled. Her teeth were definitely flat. "We're excited to show you everything. The Council's assessment is important to us. We've been waiting a long time for this." Over the next several days, Crixvell and his team observed human civilization. They visited cities filled with towering buildings. They watched humans work in offices, factories, and farms. They studied human art, music, and literature. They observed human children playing in parks, chasing each other and laughing. Everything confirmed his initial assessment. Humans were soft creatures who had risen to dominance through luck and cleverness. They had no natural weapons. Their bodies were fragile. A fall from a moderate height could kill them. Exposure to cold could kill them. Exposure to heat could kill them. Their own sun could burn their skin if they stayed outside too long. "Remarkable," Crixvell said to Mirasol one evening. "They have survived despite having almost no natural advantages. Their intelligence must compensate for their physical weakness." "They seem peaceful," Mirasol agreed. "No signs of the aggression we see in most developing species." Crixvell nodded. "I am ready to submit a preliminary report. Classification: Passive Prey World. Recommendation: Suitable for protected integration. They will need guidance and protection, but they pose no threat to the galactic community." He was about to transmit the report when Commander Vasquez appeared at his door. "Ambassador," she said, with that ever-present smile, "tomorrow I want to show you something special. A place that represents what makes Earth unique." Crixvell agreed, expecting another museum or cultural center the next morning. Elena drove him to a large building on the coast. The sign outside said Ocean Discovery Center. Through the glass walls, Crixfell could see water. Lots of water. His crystalline heart lifted. Perhaps this would remind him of home after all. They walked inside, and Elena led him through a series of displays. Colorful fish swam in carefully maintained tanks. Gentle creatures called rays glided through the water like living blankets. Tall plants swayed in artificial currents. Everything was beautiful. Everything was peaceful. "This is lovely," Crixfell said. "Your ocean life is quite charming." "This is just the beginning," Elena said. "The best part is up ahead." She led him down a sloping corridor that descended beneath the main building. The lights grew dimmer. The water around them grew darker. They were walking through a tunnel now with thick glass on all sides. Fish swam overhead and beside them. Then Elena stopped. "Here we are. The shark exhibit." Crixfell looked up. At first, he saw nothing but dark water and distant shadows. Then something moved. It came out of the darkness, like a nightmare taking physical form. Gray skin stretched over muscle, a torpedo-shaped body built for speed and power, a mouth that seemed too large, filled with row after row of triangular teeth that gleamed even in the low light. The creature swam directly overhead, and for one terrible moment, its black eyes seemed to look right at Krix. Something happened inside him. Something ancient. Something buried so deep in his genetic memory that he had never known it existed. Every cell in his crystalline body screamed a single word that his species had not needed in 10,000 years. Predator. His body began to vibrate at a frequency he had never produced before. It was a fear response, programmed into his DNA from a time before his ancestors had built their first cities. His vision narrowed. His thoughts scattered. He wanted to run, to hide, to find the deepest, darkest hole and never come out. "Ambassador?" Elena's voice seemed to come from very far away. "Are you all right?" Crixfell could not answer. He could only stare as more shapes emerged from the darkness. There were several of them. Different sizes. Different shapes. But all with that same terrible design. All built for one purpose. "What," he finally managed to whisper, "is that?" Elena looked up at the creature that had frozen an ambassador of the Valoran Collective in pure primal terror. She looked at its rows of teeth, its cold black eyes, its powerful tail pushing it through the water with effortless grace. Then she shrugged. "Oh, that's a shark," she said casually. "Beautiful, isn't it? They've been around for about 450 million years. Older than trees, actually. Come on, there's a great viewing area up ahead where you can see them even closer." She walked on. Crixfell did not move. He could not move. He stood in the glass tunnel, watching death swim in lazy circles above him, and wondered what kind of world could produce such a thing, and more importantly, what kind of species could look at it and call it beautiful. Crixfell stood frozen in the glass tunnel for what felt like hours. In reality, it was only a few minutes before Elena noticed he had stopped following her. She walked back to him with a concerned expression. "Ambassador, you look pale. Well, paler than usual. Is something wrong?" He could not find the words. His translator device seemed to be working fine, but his brain refused to form a proper sentence. All he could do was point upward at the creature circling above them. The shark. Elena tilted her head. "Are you scared of it?" "Don't worry. The glass is very thick. They can't get to us." That was not comforting. Crixfell did not care about the glass. He cared about the fact that such a creature existed at all. He cared about the casual way Elena spoke about it as if it were nothing more than a slightly interesting fish. "Tell me about it," he finally managed to say. "Tell me everything." Lena seemed surprised by his interest, but she smiled and began to explain. She led him to a viewing area with benches where they could sit and watch the sharks swim in their massive tank. "This one here is a great white," she said, pointing at the largest creature. "They're one of the most famous shark species. They can grow up to 6 meters long and weigh over 2,000 kilograms. Their bite force is about 18,000 newtons." Crixfell's translator struggled with the measurements, but his brain understood enough. The creature was massive. Its bite could crush bone and metal alike. They have about 300 teeth arranged in multiple rows, Alina continued. When one tooth falls out, another moves forward to replace it. They go through thousands of teeth in their lifetime. 300 teeth, Crixfell repeated weakly. They can detect blood in the water from several kilometers away. Just a tiny drop, and they know exactly where it is. They also have special organs that can sense the electrical fields produced by living creatures. Even if you're hiding and perfectly still, they can feel your heartbeat. Crixfell's own heart was beating very fast right now. He wondered if the shark could sense it through the glass. How fast can it move? He asked, dreading the answer. Great whites can swim at about 40 kilometers per hour in short bursts. When they attack, they come from below so fast that they sometimes launch completely out of the water. It's called breaching. Very impressive to watch. She pulled out a small device and showed him a video. Crixfell watched in horror as a shark exploded from the ocean's surface, a seal clamped in its massive jaws. Water spraying in all directions like some kind of nightmare fountain. This cannot be real, he said. No, it's real. We have lots of footage. People travel from all over the world to watch great whites hunt. It's quite popular. Crixfell turned to look at her. People watch this. For entertainment? Sure, shark watching is a big tourist industry. Some people get in cages and go underwater to see them up close. Others go cage freediving, which means no barrier between them and the sharks at all. The ambassador's crystalline body made a sound like breaking glass. It was a Valoran expression of extreme distress. Your people get in the water with these things? On purpose? Alina laughed. Of course. I've done it myself. Went cage diving in South Africa a few years ago. Amazing experience. There's nothing quite like seeing a great white swim past you just a few meters away. But why? Crixfell could not understand. Why would anyone choose to be near something that could kill them so easily? Alina considered the question. I suppose because it's exciting. Because there's something beautiful about being close to such a powerful creature. And honestly, sharks don't usually attack humans. We're not their preferred food. Most shark attacks happen because the shark mistakes a human for a seal. Most attacks, Crixfell said. So there are attacks. Oh, yes. Every year some people get bitten. Some die. But millions of humans go in the ocean every day, and the vast majority never even see a shark. The risk is quite low, statistically speaking. Crixfell tried to process this information. On his world, if something could kill you, you avoided it completely. You've built walls around it. You eliminated the threat. The idea of accepting a small chance of being eaten as an acceptable price for recreation was utterly alien to him. How many species of shark exist? He asked. Over 500, Alina said cheerfully. All different sizes. Some are tiny, just a few centimeters long. Others, like the whale shark, can grow to 12 meters. Whale sharks are gentle, though. They only eat small fish and plankton. Only 500 species, Crixfell muttered. And they live in your oceans. Yes, all of our oceans. Every ocean on Earth has sharks. They've been here for about 450 million years. They survived 5 mass extinction events. They were here before the dinosaurs, and they're still here now. Very successful design, apparently. Crixfell thought about this. 450 million years. His entire species was only 3 million years old. Sharks had been perfecting the art of killing for 447 million years before the first Valoran ancestor had crawled from the primordial soup. And your species? He said slowly, you swim in these oceans. You surf on top of the water. You play in the waves. You do this knowing that at any moment one of these creatures could appear. That's right. You are not afraid. Alina smiled that strange human smile, the one that showed all of her blunt, useless teeth. We're afraid. Of course, we're afraid. Fear is natural. But we don't let fear stop us from living. The ocean is beautiful. It's part of our world. We're not going to hide from it just because something dangerous lives there. Crixfell fell silent. He watched the sharks circle endlessly in their tank. He noticed that some of them never stopped moving, their mouths slightly open. water flowing over their gills. Those ones, he pointed. Why do they not stop? Some shark species have to keep swimming to breathe. If they stop, they suffocate. So they literally never stop moving their entire lives. They swim from the moment they're born until the moment they die. Perpetual motion. Endless hunger. A creature that could never rest, never stop, never cease hunting. Crixville felt his understanding of the universe shifting beneath him. He had come to Earth thinking humans were prey. Soft, weak, fortunate survivors of a gentle world. Now he realized his mistake. Earth was not gentle. Earth was a death world, filled with ancient terrors that had been perfecting the art of killing since before his species existed, and humans swam with them anyway. He needed to contact the Galactic Council immediately. His preliminary report was wrong. Everything was wrong. Earth was not a passive prey world. It was something far more terrifying. It was a world that had created sharks and also created beings crazy enough to swim with them for fun. The Valorans needed to know. Everyone needed to know. The humans were not what they appeared to be. The emergency session of the Galactic Council began 3 days after Crixville sent his revised report. Representatives from 47 species gathered in the Great Chamber on Station Prime, their holographic forms flickering around the central speaking platform. Crixville had never addressed the full council before. His crystalline hands trembled slightly as he activated his presentation. He had prepared carefully. He had gathered videos, research papers, and testimony from human experts. He needed the council to understand what he had discovered. Honored representatives, he began, I was sent to Earth to assess humanity for integration into galactic society. My preliminary findings classified Earth as a passive prey world and humans as developmentally fortunate herbivore adjacent organisms. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. This matched what most species expected. I was wrong, Crixville said. Completely and terrifyingly wrong. Murmurs stopped. The council fell silent. Crixville activated the first image. It filled the chamber with a life-size hologram of a great white shark, mouth open, teeth gleaming. Several representatives made sounds of alarm. 1. A small insectoid being from a peaceful hive world fainted. This is a shark, Crixville said. It is a predator native to Earth's oceans. It has existed for 450 million years. It has survived 5 mass extinction events that destroyed countless other species. It is, by any reasonable measure, one of the most perfect killing machines ever produced by natural evolution. He described the shark's abilities in detail. The hundreds of teeth, the ability to smell blood from kilometers away, the electrical sense that could detect a beating heart, the endless, perpetual motion of species that could never stop hunting. The council listened in growing horror. But this is not what disturbed me most, Crixville continued. What disturbed me is what humans do with these creatures. Showed them video footage. Humans swimming in oceans filled with sharks. Humans in small cages, surrounded by great whites. Humans, without any cage at all, floating next to tiger sharks and hammerheads, as if they were family pets. They call this recreation, Crixville said. They do this for fun. War Chief Cronax of the Kreth Dominion rose from his seat. The Kreth were a warrior species, proud and fierce, covered in natural armor and equipped with claws that could tear through steel. They had conquered a dozen worlds through sheer physical dominance. This must be false, Cronax declared. No sane species would willingly enter water containing such predators. These videos must be fabricated. They're not fabricated, Crixville said. I have confirmed them through multiple sources. Millions of humans enter their oceans every day. They surf on waves. They swim along beaches. They dive to explore underwater environments. They do this knowing that sharks are present. But they are weak, said Cronax. They have no armor, no claws. How can they survive? They accept the risk, Crixville said. They acknowledge that sharks may attack them, may injure them, may kill them. And they swim anyway. Showed them more footage. Marine biologists studying sharks up close. Researchers attaching tracking devices to shark fins using only their bare hands. Divers removing fishing hooks from shark mouths, while the sharks were fully awake and capable of biting them in half.
Human.
Crixfell pointed to a woman in the video, has spent 30 years swimming with great white sharks. She has been bitten twice. She continues to dive. The council chamber was completely silent. Then Crixville showed them something that made even War Chief Cronak sit down heavily in his seat. It was footage of a human technique for dealing with overly curious sharks. When a shark approaches too closely, Crixville explained, humans have developed a deterrent method. They simply hit the shark on the nose. The video showed a diver pushing a shark away with a firm tap to its snout. The shark, a creature capable of killing the human in an instant, turned and swam away. They punch sharks, someone in the council whispered. They punch sharks, and the sharks retreat. Yes, Crixfell said. Humans have taught themselves to intimidate apex predators that are older than most species in this council. They do not use weapons. They do not use technology. They use their bare hands. Representative Mira from the Peaceful Worlds Collective raised her appendage to speak. Surely this is foolish behavior by a small minority of humans, not representative of the species as a whole? Crixfell shook his head. I thought the same. So I investigated further, and I discovered that sharks are merely the beginning. He showed them lions. Massive predatory cats that could kill with a single bite. Humans had lived alongside them for millions of years. Some humans now work to protect lions from extinction. He showed them wolves. Pack hunters that could chase prey for hours without tiring. Humans had taken these predators and over thousands of years turned them into loyal companions. They now lived in human homes, slept in human beds, and were called good boys. He showed them venomous snakes, poisonous spiders, and massive bears. All creatures that could kill humans easily. All creatures that some humans kept as pets. Earth is not a passive prey world, Crixfell concluded. Earth is a death world. Everything on that planet is dangerous. The plants are poisonous. The insects carry disease. The weather can kill in minutes. And yet humans have not only survived, but thrived. They have become the dominant species on a world that seems designed to kill them. War Chief Cronak spoke again, his voice much quieter than before. How did such weak beings conquer such a dangerous world? Crixfell turned off his presentation. I asked Commander Elena Vasquez, my human liaison, the same question. Her answer was simple. She said humans adapted. They learned. They refused to accept that anything was too dangerous to face. When something could kill them, they studied it until they understood it. Then they found ways to survive alongside it. He paused. Looking around the council chamber at the representatives of 47 species, many of whom had claws and armor and venom and natural weapons of every kind. Honored representatives, I recommend that humanity be elevated immediately to advisory status in the Galactic Council. Not because they are weak and need protection, but because any species that can swim with sharks, punch apex predators, and domesticate wolves while being made of nothing but soft flesh and determination is a species we want as our allies. The vote was unanimous. Humanity was welcomed into the galactic community not as a protected species, but as something far more significant, as the only species brave enough or crazy enough to call a death world home. 6 months had passed since the council vote, and Crixfell had not returned to his homeworld. He could not bring himself to leave Earth. There was something about this strange, dangerous planet that fascinated him in ways he could not fully explain. He had requested permission to remain as the Valoran permanent representative to humanity, and his government had agreed. Now he spent his days studying human culture, trying to understand the species that had overturned everything he thought he knew about the universe. Commander Elena Vasquez had become his guide, and supposed his friend. She seemed amused by his endless questions, but she always answered them patiently. Today they were walking along a beach in California. The ocean stretched before them, blue and vast and full of creatures that could kill them both. Humans dotted the sand, lying in the sun, building structures from wet sand, running into the waves and emerging, laughing and dripping. Do they not think about the sharks? Crixville asked. Alina shrugged. Maybe for a second when they first go in, but then they get distracted by how nice the water feels. You can't spend your whole life being afraid, Ambassador. Crixfell watched a small human child splash in the shallow water. The child was perhaps 4 years old, completely helpless, laughing with pure joy. Somewhere out there, beyond the breaking waves, sharks were swimming. The child did not care. The child's parents did not seem to care either. I have been researching your history, Crixfell said. Your relationship with predators. What did you find? Everything, Crixfell said. I found everything. And it broke my understanding of the universe. He had learned that humans were not always the dominant species on Earth. For most of their history, they had been prey. Lions hunted them. Bears killed them. Wolves took their children in the night. The ocean was full of things with too many teeth, and the land was no safer. But humans had not hidden. They had not retreated to safe places and built walls around themselves. Instead, they had done something no other species in the galaxy had ever done. They had looked at the predators and decided to understand them. You studied the things that killed you, Crixfell said. You learned their patterns, their behaviors, their weaknesses. You did not do this to destroy them. You did it to live alongside them. Alina nodded. That's pretty much it. We're curious creatures. When something scares us, we want to know why. Once we understand it, it becomes less scary. But that is not all, Crixfell continued. You also protect them. The sharks, the lions, the wolves. When their numbers began to fall, humans fought to save them. You've built sanctuaries. You passed laws. You spent enormous resources keeping alive the very creatures that can kill you. This was the part Crixfell truly could not understand. On any other world, when a species gained enough power to eliminate its predators, it did so. It was the logical thing to do. Remove the threat. Ensure safety. Protect your young. But humans had not done this. Even when they had the technology to wipe out every shark, every lion, every dangerous creature on their planet, they had chosen not to. Why? Crixfell asked. Why do you protect them? Alina was quiet for a long moment. She watched the waves roll in and out, the eternal rhythm of the tide. I think, she said slowly, it's because we understand something important. The things that can kill us are also the things that made us who we are. She sat down on the sand, and Crixfell sat beside her. Millions of years ago, our ancestors were weak. They had no claws, no fangs, no armor. The world was trying to kill them every single day. But instead of dying out, they adapted. They got smarter. They worked together. They learned to use tools, to make fire, to communicate complex ideas. Every predator that hunted us made us better. So you are grateful to them? Crixfell asked. In a way, but it's more than that. Alina picked up a handful of sand and let it slip through her fingers. The world is more beautiful because dangerous things exist in it. A forest without wolves is emptier somehow. An ocean without sharks would feel wrong. These creatures represent something important, something wild and free and powerful. If we destroyed them all, we would lose a part of ourselves too. Crixfell considered this. On Valora, there was no such concept. Beauty came from peace, from calm, from the absence of threat. The idea that danger could be beautiful was entirely foreign to his way of thinking. But what about safety? He asked, what about the humans who are killed by sharks every year? What about their families? Elena's expression grew serious. Every death is a tragedy. We mourn every person taken by a shark or a lion or any other predator. But we also recognize that we are part of a larger world. We are not separate from nature. We are part of it. And sometimes nature is dangerous. She looked at him directly. We could eliminate all the sharks tomorrow if we wanted to. We have the technology. But then we wouldn't be who we are anymore. We would be a species that hides from danger instead of facing it. We would lose our courage, our curiosity, our willingness to take risks. Crixfell thought about the Galactic Council. 47 species, most of whom had eliminated every threat on their homeworlds long ago. They had become comfortable, safe. They had forgotten what it meant to be afraid, perhaps. That was why they had reacted with such shock to the news about sharks. Not because sharks were uniquely dangerous, but because the council species had forgotten that danger could exist at all. "You are teaching the galaxy something," Crixfell said. "Something important." "What's that?" "That strength is not about eliminating danger. It is about living with it, learning from it, even protecting it." He watched a pelican dive into the water, emerging with a fish in its beak. "On my world, we would have seen that bird as a threat to the fish. We would have tried to separate them, to create peace. And you would have destroyed the ecosystem," Elena said. "Everything is connected. The pelican needs the fish. The fish need the plants. The plants need the nutrients that come from dead pelicans. Remove one piece, and everything falls apart." Crixfall nodded slowly. "Humans understand this. You understand that the universe is not meant to be safe. It is meant to be alive." Lena smiled and stood up, brushing sand from her clothes. "Come on, Ambassador. I want to show you something else." "What is it?" "A wildlife sanctuary. Specifically, one that rehabilitates injured great white sharks and releases them back into the ocean." Crixfall stared at her. "You heal sharks? The things that could eat you?" "Of course. They're part of our world, and they deserve to live just as much as we do." She walked toward her vehicle, and after a moment, Crixfell followed. He was beginning to understand something about humans that no report could ever fully capture. They were not crazy. They were wise, and the galaxy had much to learn from them. 1 year after Crixfell's report changed everything. The galaxy faced its first real test of what humanity's friendship meant. The message reached. Station Prime at 3 in the morning, Galactic Standard Time. The Valoran homeworld was surrounded. 17 warships of the Skarn Dominion had dropped out of hyperspace and positioned themselves in a perfect sphere around the peaceful ocean planet. The Skarn were conquerors. They had spent 10,000 years moving through the galaxy, crushing any species too weak to resist them. They had no art, no music, no culture beyond war. They believed that the strong existed to dominate the weak. They had never met a species strong enough to stop them. Their message to Valora was simple: surrender unconditionally, or be destroyed. The Valorans had no weapons. They had no military. Their crystalline bodies could shatter from a single blow. They had relied on the protection of the Galactic Council for centuries. But the Council was far away, and their fleets would take weeks to arrive. The Skarn commander gave them 12 hours to decide. Crixfell received the news on Earth. He stood in Elena's office, his crystalline form flickering with fear, watching the holographic displays show 17 warships hovering over his home. "My people will die," he said. "There is nothing we can do. Nothing anyone can do." Elena was already moving. She had her communication device out, speaking rapidly to people Crixfell did not know. Her calm demeanor had vanished. In its place was something harder, something focused. "Ambassador," she said, "how far is Valora from Earth?" 3 days at maximum hyperspace velocity. "But Earth has no fleet capable of how many ships would we need?" Crixfall calculated quickly. "The Skarn have 17 heavy cruisers. To match their firepower, you would need at least 30 vessels of comparable class."
"And we have 7?
Elena said. 7 ships capable of making that journey in time. Then it is hopeless. 7 against 17. The mathematics are clear." Elena smiled. It was not her usual warm smile. This smile showed teeth. "Ambassador, I need to tell you something about humans. We're not very good at mathematics, especially when our friends are in danger." 8 hours later, the human fleet launched from Earth orbit. 7 vessels, none of them designed for war. Research ships, exploration craft, passenger liners that had been hastily equipped with weapons. They were called the Megalodon. The Hammerhead, the Mako, the Tiger, the Bull, the Thresher, and the Great White. Commander Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the Megalodon, watching the stars blur as they entered hyperspace. "Commander," her second officer said, "the Skarn outnumber us more than 2 to 1. Their ships are built for war. Ours are not. The probability of success is I know the probability," Elena said. "I don't care about the probability. May I ask why?" Alina turned to face her crew. They were scientists, explorers, civilians, who had volunteered for a mission they might not survive. Not one of them had hesitated when she asked. "Because the Valorans are our friends," she said, "and because humans don't abandon their friends, ever, regardless of the odds." The fleet arrived at Valora with 2 hours to spare. They emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, positioning themselves between the Skarn fleet and the planet the Skarn commander opened a communication channel immediately. His face appeared on every screen, scaled and scarred, his eyes filled with contempt. "Human vessels," he said, "you are interfering in Skarn Dominion business. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. You are outnumbered and outgunned. This is not your fight." Elena's face appeared on the Skarn screens in response. She was calm. She was smiling. "Skarn Dominion," she said, "this is Commander Elena Vasquez of the Earth vessel Megalodon. The Valoran Collective is under humanity's protection. You will withdraw your fleet immediately." Skarn Commander laughed. It was a harsh barking sound. "Protection? You bring 7 ships against 17. You are soft creatures, with no armor, no claws, no natural weapons. My warriors could tear your flesh with their bare hands. What protection can you possibly offer?" Elena's smile widened. "You've read our files? You've counted our ships. You know our physical specifications, but you haven't studied our planet. You don't know where we come from. Your planet is irrelevant. Only power matters." "Then let me tell you about power." Elena leaned forward. "My planet has creatures called sharks. They've existed for 450 million years. They have rows of teeth that replace themselves forever. They can smell blood from miles away. They feel the heartbeat of their prey through the water itself. They never stop moving, never stop hunting, from the moment they're born until the moment they die." The Skarn commander's expression flickered. Uncertainty. "And my people," Elena continued, "we swim with them. We enter their water, knowing they could kill us at any moment. We do this for fun. When they get too close, we punch them in the nose, and they swim away. We've been doing this for thousands of years." She stood up from her chair. "Sharks don't hunt out of hatred. They hunt because it's their nature. We don't fight out of hatred either. But if you threaten our friends, you will learn what Earth's oceans taught us. The most dangerous creature in any water is not the one with the most teeth. It's the one that isn't afraid." The Skarn commander stared at her through the screen. His bridge crew had gone very quiet. "You're bluffing," he said, but his voice had lost some of its certainty. "Look up sharks," Elena said. "I'll wait." There was a long pause. The Skarn commander's eyes moved, reading something off-screen. His face changed. The contempt drained away, replaced by something that might have been shock. "This cannot be real," he muttered. "It's real, and those are just the sharks. I haven't even told you about the lions, the wolves, the bears, the crocodiles, the venomous snakes, the poisonous spiders, or the microscopic organisms that have killed more humans than all the predators combined. Earth is a death world, Commander, and we are its apex predators." She let that sink in. "So here's what's going to happen. You are going to take your 17 warships and leave this system. You are never going to threaten the Valorans again. And you are going to spread the word throughout the Skarn Dominion that humanity protects its friends. And if we refuse..." Elena's smile vanished. What replaced it was something ancient, something that had been forged in millions of years of surviving on a world that never stopped trying to kill her ancestors. "If you refuse," she said softly, "then you will learn why sharks have survived 5 extinction events. It's not because they're the biggest or the strongest. It's because they're patient. They circle, they wait, they strike once, and they make it count. We learned that from them." Skarn fleet remained motionless for a very long time. Then, one by one, they began to move. Not toward Valora, away from it. Back toward their own space. The Skarn commander's face appeared one final time. "This is not over, human." "No," Elena agreed. "But when you come back, bring more ships, and remember what we swim with." The channel closed. The Skarn fleet entered hyperspace and vanished. On the planet below, millions of Valorans watched the human ships hold their position until the last enemy vessel disappeared. Crixfell stood on his balcony, tears of crystalline light streaming down his face. He understood now. He finally understood. Humans had not risen to dominance despite their predators. They had risen because of them. Every shark, every lion, every wolf had taught them courage, patience, and the wisdom to know when to fight and when to protect. He composed his final message to the Galactic Council. "Do not threaten Earth," he wrote. "Do not threaten their allies. The humans swim with sharks not because they are foolish, but because they are the only species in the galaxy that looked at death itself and said, 'I want to understand you.'" He paused, then added one final line. "That is not madness. That is mastery, and it is why they will always win."